Across the Middle East and Central Asia, water and energy shape the rhythm of everyday life. They determine whether homes have power, crops can withstand a changing climate, and families can rely on safe drinking water. Since 1976, the OPEC Fund has committed over $5 billion to energy projects and $1.5 billion to water infrastructure. In Tajikistan's Khatlon region, a $10 million OPEC Fund loan is bringing modern irrigation and clean drinking water to 115,000 farming families.
Ana peş çıkılayım soloy hazırlısı şase poygoy okaşı se poygoy okaşı sokta şunu ama soloy tulonişi daha veya nasılsa
هممون همی با اینه که او هست در همه ساحه ما هممون همی زندگی ما خوب شده همی او هست ما زنده ایم او نباشه هیچی.
For many households, this means more dependable harvests, higher incomes, and less time spent collecting water each day. In Egypt, the OPEC Fund is working with Aquapower to build Africa's largest onshore wind power project. Located on the Gulf of Suez, it will generate enough electricity to power more than 1 million homes, while cutting emissions by 2.8 million tons every year.
تعلمت مهارات كتير، تعلمت ازاي ان انا اتعامل مع الفنيين والمهندسين بطريقه كويسه تليق بيا كبنت من بنات راس غارب، كمان ان انا بقى عندي دخل ثابت، بحياتي مستقره اكتر، ان انا بقيت رؤيتي للمستقبل واضحه كتير جدا.
All across the region, the OPEC Fund is investing in the essential systems that sustain lives, livelihoods, and economies. Because when water flows and energy is reliable, families can look ahead with confidence, and societies become more resilient.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished speakers, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our afternoon session about powering progress, advancing integrated water and energy systems for shared gains. I am Professor Andreas Claassen. I'm the director of the Lille Institute for Public Value, also an honorary research associate at the University of Oxford, and I'm moderating the panel this afternoon during that session. What we're going to do in the next hour is we will examine how investment and policy reforms can strengthen resilience and also performance of energy and water systems, but we will also look at how integrated and strategic approaches for partnerships will improve efficiency and will manage risk properly. So you're definitely in the right session regarding a very important topic, and I'm delighted that we have not only a fantastic panel for the next hour, but also a brilliant keynote speaker. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Anna Bierde, the Managing Director of Operations at the World Bank Group, for the opening remarks. Anna, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, dear Andreas, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here, and it's a real pleasure to open up this panel. I wanted to start with just the relevance of this topic, but in the context of some of the travel I've done. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I returned from the Middle East, and last year I was in Central Asia. So this panel comprises experts from both regions, and I really look forward to hearing their perspectives. But of course, what stays with me when I visit these two regions is not only the severity of the pressures the countries are facing, but also the seriousness of their response. And what I'm seeing is leaders are asking very practical questions. How do we keep water flowing? How do we keep power reliable, lands irrigated, food systems productive, firms competitive, and young people employed? And how do we do all of this at the very same time? Well, the answer is increasingly clear. Energy and water can no longer be managed as separate sectors. They are indeed one interconnected system. Water depends on energy for pumping, treatment, and desalination, and energy depends on water for hydropower, cooling, and production. When one system fails, the other weakens. When they are planned together, countries can reduce risk, improve efficiency, and sustain services under much more complex conditions. This is not only an infrastructure issue, it's a jobs issue, because reliable energy and water are the foundation for productive economies. They support people's well-being, sustain growth, and they drive job creation. At the World Bank Group, jobs are now an explicit aim of everything we do. Why is that? Because over the next 10 to 15 years, 1.2 billion young people across the developing world will be looking for jobs. But according to our analysis, there's only going to be 400 million jobs created. That gap is one of the defining development challenges of our generation. And jobs do not appear by accident. They require three things to come together: foundational infrastructure, an enabling business environment, and private capital at scale. Energy and water sit at the center of all three, and I would like to briefly touch upon each. First, foundational infrastructure. No economy can create jobs at scale without reliable power and reliable water. Firms cannot grow when electricity is intermittent. Farmers cannot produce without water. Cities cannot attract investment when services are unreliable. And people cannot thrive when investments in health and education lack the energy and safe water needed to deliver. These systems underpin productivity across sectors, yet the gaps remain significant. Imagine, nearly 4 billion people face some form of water insecurity, and more than 1 billion people still lack access to energy. In the Middle East and North Africa, over 60% of the population lives under high or extreme water stress. And in Central Asia, water availability could decline sharply by 2050, even as demand rises. Meeting this challenge requires integrated systems. We're seeing what works. The Central Asia Water and Energy Program is mobilizing large-scale financing by linking energy, water, and agriculture. And the gains can be significant. In Uzbekistan's South Karal-Kalpakstan region, irrigation modernization cut energy consumption by 60 million kilowatt-hours, equal to the annual electricity use of 500,000 households, while reducing electricity costs by 80%. At the other end of the spectrum, we also see what integration looks like when we do it at scale. In Tajikistan, hydropower is central not only to the country's energy future, but also to water management, flood risk mitigation, and regional electricity trade. The Rogun hydropower project has the potential to improve reliable electricity access for millions while strengthening the regional energy market in the whole of Central Asia. This is what integration looks like at scale, where infrastructure, institutions, and regional cooperation come together. We're also scaling this approach across regions through platforms like Mission 300, which aims to connect 300 million people in Africa to electricity by 2030, and doing so by aligning reform, financing, and delivery across the entire energy value chain. The same logic underpins one of our more recent global initiatives, called Water Forward. Water Forward aims to improve water security for 1 billion people by 2030 through country-led compacts that bring together governments and partners and the private sector. And before I say my next point, I wanted to acknowledge the wonderful partnership with the OPEC Fund, both in Mission 300, in Water Forward, and in so many other areas. I want to thank you so very much. But the lesson is clear. Access matters, but reliability and affordability are what turn access into jobs. The OPEC Fund and many of you in this room are already part of these efforts, and I really, again, want to thank you for that. My second point is about the enabling environments, because infrastructure alone is not enough to create jobs at scale. Countries need strong institutions, they need credible regulation, financially sustainable utilities, and coordination across sectors. This is especially critical in the energy-water nexus, where pricing, subsidies, planning, and governance directly affect performance. We see this clearly across countries. Jordan, and my good friend, Her Excellency, the Minister of Planning is here, Minister Tukan, I'm sure she will tell us more about that. But if you look at Jordan, one of the most water-scarce countries in the world, it offers a very strong example. Its desalination program is not just about water. It's also about energy, about fiscal sustainability, and about resilience. What makes it work is the reform behind it. In aligning water and energy planning, strengthening the financial sustainability of utilities, and putting in place credible regulatory frameworks to attract private capital. That's what makes it work. Across the region, success depends on the same fundamentals: very strong and capable institutions, coordinated policy, sustained cooperation with neighboring countries, and the ability to deliver. Without this, systems underperform and investments do not translate into results. Which is then my third point. We need to mobilize private capital. The scale of investment needs is far beyond what public resources can meet. Energy demand is rising, water stress is intensifying, systems require long-term capital across generation, grids, desalination, irrigation, and the networks at large. But private capital does not come simply because the needs are large. It comes when projects are bankable, policies are predictable, institutions are credible, risks are shared, and tariffs reflect cost recovery. This is where multilateral development banks, together again with partners like the OPEC Fund, play a critical role, supporting reforms, structuring projects, and mobilizing finance at scale. And the opportunity is significant. Integrated energy and water systems create jobs across agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, digital services, and local construction. They support more resilient economies and expand opportunity, including for women and for young people. Let me close with 3 key messages. First, integration is no longer optional. Energy policy is water policy. Water policy is energy policy, and both are jobs policy. Second, institutions matter as much as infrastructure. Investments must be matched with reform to deliver lasting results. And third, we need platforms, not projects. Mission 300 and Water Forward point the way, aligning country ownership, partner coordination, private capital, and delivery. What I saw in the Middle East and Central Asia is that countries are not waiting. They're reforming, investing, and they're moving forward. Our task is to help them move faster, with better data, stronger institutions, and financing at scale. If we get this right, energy and water systems will do more than deliver services. They will power progress through jobs, growth, and resilience. And they will help ensure that the next generation has the opportunity it deserves. Thank you so very much, and I'm very much looking forward to the discussion today.
Thank you very much, Anna, for this inspiring keynote speech. Thank you for waking us up after the lunch break. And I think you highlighted not only the huge challenges, 4 billion people facing some form of water insecurity, but you also gave us a couple of key takeaways, and I love that. So in particular, your 3 points about integration, institutions that matter, and about the platforms you highlighted as well, so about the collaboration and enhanced coordination. So you see, I did my homework, listening carefully to you, Anna. So now I think it's the task to listen carefully to our panelists, and I'm delighted to introduce the panelists and invite them to join me here on stage. And I would like to start with Her Excellency Zina Tukan, the Minister for Planning and International Cooperation from Jordan. Lovely to have you. Please join me on stage. It is a joy. Hello. Just whatever you want. It's a joy to also introduce His Excellency Darla Juma, the Minister for Energy and Water Resources from Tajikistan. Welcome. Great to see you in Vienna. An absolute delight to say hello and good afternoon to Her Excellency Rata Al-Mashad, the Under-Secretary General and the Executive Secretary for the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Africa. Good afternoon. Lovely to have you on the panel. And it's wonderful, of course, to say hello to my dear friend Shaim Al-Shaibi, the Vice President, Public Sector Operations from the OPEC Development Fund. So I hope that everybody has a microphone, otherwise I will share mine. And I would like to start the first round if we focus a bit on the challenges, but also on the opportunities on financing. We heard that from Anna a bit regarding how important financing is, but also, of course, how important the strategic directions are. And maybe, Your Excellency Darle Juma, we start with Tajikistan. Why is that? Because you have a lot of hydropower and water resources in your country, but you also have a plan. You have a plan, and it's called the New Power System Plan 2050, including hydropower, solar, and storage. It's great to have a plan, but it's even more interesting to hear and listen to you what the plan changes, how develop and finance the energy future, and also how to work on that plan in a relationship with the development partners.
Thanks so much. First of all, once again, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Abdelhamid Al Khalifa and his wonderful team with the 50th anniversary of the OPEC Fund, and congratulate with this today very insightful and successful forum indeed. I think it's important for us to recognize the reality, and let me try today not to be Tajik-centric, but very much talk from the Central Asian perspective, which is home to 100 million of people, including Afghanistan. The reality is that we are suffering from the climate change. It's not anymore on the TV. This is what's happening to us even today as we speak. We have a quite significant population growth. It's an average of 2.5% annually. We have an aging irrigation, which of course lacks in efficiency. And there's actually a shortfall of electricity throughout the region. OPEC found leadership this morning, and I think every single speaker today has been referring to the resilience and adaptation. And I think this, the power system plan that you have been referring to, we believe that it's really about converting challenges into the opportunities. Yes, those are the challenges, but any challenges has the other part of it, what it takes us to convert it into opportunities. We therefore in Tajikistan do believe that the new plan that we have been put in place and promoting is holistic, and it is really with the regional focus on. And Mrs. Anaberto was referring today in her remarks about the Rogon power plant, and I think it's a good example of how that power plant is not become a source of disputes, but rather than it's a good example of how it can benefit the entire region. And of course, Anna is our champion in facilitating the consortiums of development partners, including the OPEC Fund, including the Islamic Development Bank, that I can see the leadership here today with us. It's one of the true examples how a project can gonna have solutions to everybody, whether it's a power, whether it's a water management, whether it's a climate change, or whether it is flooding and or even the drought seasons. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's holistic, it's about regional approaches, and it's about the partnerships you mentioned, for example, with the OPEC Fund and others, which is, I think, the perfect handover to you, Your Excellency Zeina, regarding Jordan. Because, I mean, your country has a strong track record in mobilizing international partners, including the OPEC Fund. But let's go a bit beyond like this partnership, that it's important, we know that. I think it's more important how effective partnership looks like. And can I ask you, how can development finance from these partners be really aligned with national priorities, like your own priorities, and not fragmenting that, for example, around your economic modernization vision in Jordan?
Thank you, Andreas. Indeed, as you just mentioned, Jordan has built a very strong track record of mobilizing development partners, OPEC Fund, the World Bank Group, the Islamic Development Bank, the Saudi Development Fund, EBRD, EIB, among others, on a bilateral level, but also at a multilateral level, around its national agendas over the years, which has proved to be successful. Now, these partnerships have evolved over time, and they were strengthened year by year. They have always been based on a structured dialogue or open dialogue, national ownership. I think these were re-emphasized earlier this morning in the opening session, but also in the introduction that Anna made, trust and mutual accountability. And what makes it also very important in not only creating these partnerships, but the mobilization of these partnerships, is understanding country context, but also regional context. Where we come from, Jordan, it's a difficult region, which would require adapting from time to time, while staying focused on the priorities that we need to move forward with. And all of these have contributed to effective and strong partnership. But what's most important, having a clear national priorities. And it's about having a clear roadmap of national priorities at a project and a policy level that are driven by the country, by not only by the government, by the state, by its people. You've mentioned the economic modernization vision, which today serves as Jordan's economic and development blueprint for leveraging international partnership, but also mobilization of financing, private sector capital, and knowledge. Knowledge is as equally important as the financing, especially when it comes to what it can bring in knowledge transfers, capacity buildings, and so on. For us, the economic modernization vision was developed in a very broad consultative process, engaging hundreds of subject matter experts, civil society, youth, private sector, parliamentarians, some of our development partners as well, to set the priorities across 8 economic drivers spanning over 25 sectors, where Jordan has the competitive yet the comparative advantage, or where we hope to see ourselves 10 years down the road. Next is alignment. I think we've also succeeded over the years in ensuring that there's a strong alignment around these national priorities, and this has helped us to strengthen implementation, ground in capital, including talking to different partners to try to find innovative ways when it comes to financing, maximizing impact on the ground. It's a win-win for Jordan and the development partners. Yeah. And what I see that has also been effective, and I don't think this is not Jordan specific, is establishing multi-year programmatic approach. This helps in, to better plan, predictability, and the mobilization of the financing in an enhanced coordination approach, which was also reiterated on just at the opening session. I think these are critical elements. Maybe one example that Anna mentioned, and I think we will talk about it in the following questions, is a key project that has been a flagship initiative project for all of us, which is the National Water Conveyance Project. So turning a challenge into an opportunity. Jordan is a climate change hotspot manifested in the water sector. Water scarcity is very serious. 61 cubic meter per capita annually, where the annual poverty water threshold is at 500 cubic meter per capita annually. So this project is existential. But what's the beauty about this is not the infrastructure or the water resources that are critical for Jordan, but bringing all Jordan's development partners around this project and utilizing the different instruments that are out there, from the technical assistance to grants to concessional financing, debt swaps, guarantees, private sector financing, also commercial financing, to make this project happen. Climate financing with the Green Climate Fund to make this project happen, which has been also not only a flagship for Jordan, but a flagship for our development partners. We were also honored to be part of the Water Forward and presenting or adopting our Jordan Water Compact that doesn't look also on the infrastructure side, but as Anna mentioned, the governance side of it is very important. The financial sustainability of sectors like water and energy are of equally important. I think having the political will, the clear priorities, with the enhanced alignment and better coordination, this is what has helped us to mobilize this track record of international partnership.
Thank you for that very powerful explanation, summary, but also giving us some analysis, what works and what doesn't, and to focus on that from a national perspective from Jordan, for example, Shaima, which gives me a perfect opportunity to just turn that around. I mean, we heard about the vision, the strategic direction, the execution regarding the right instruments, the right partnerships, but of course also the right impact. And I mean, that's exactly how the OPEC Fund works. You have a clear vision and strategy, you have the tools, you're very innovative regarding what you're developing, for example, in the public sector, but you're also very strong on the impact measurement. So when I ask you, working with not only Jordan or maybe Tajikistan, but 120 or more than 125 countries around the globe, all with their own development objectives. I mean, how does the OPEC Fund align with that national priorities?
Thank you, Andreas. So the OPEC Fund is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and we've been around for 50 years because of our great agility. And that is the core of South-South development. We follow a tailored approach. We follow the country's priorities and we support with other development partners to implement them. So let me give a small example of Jordan. We've been supporting Jordan since inception, and only maybe close to a decade ago, Jordan put a ceiling on public debt. So a lot of the projects were really being financed through private sector. What we did is that we immediately adapted, and we've been supporting the policy framework, strengthen the policy framework, the institutional framework of the country. We've provided around 6 policy-based loans, totaling almost $500 million, to preserve human capital, to support social safety nets during COVID and the war times, as well as lay the foundations for a very strong private sector growth economy. So that's in Jordan. In Egypt, under the auspices of Minister al-Mashaq, we also we had supported the energy transition for many, many years. We supported 8 mega energy projects, power plants. And then the country decided that they would like to have power generation done under private sector through IPPs, and that's exactly where we went. We refocused, and we financing the largest solar power plants or solar storage hybrid power plant like Abydos 2 through our private sector, where our support alongside other MDBs is proving to be instrumental for the countries. So we follow a tailored approach. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's quite powerful how you describe that. I like that, and a good takeaway for me personally. Your Excellency Rania, When we think about how important it is to drive policy coherence, we heard that. When we listen to your colleagues on the panel, how important it is to deliver institutional coordination, but also focusing on that across member states on energy and water governance. You are uniquely positioned to deliver on that. I mean, that's basically your role. Can I ask you, what are your priorities advancing that agenda, and how can development finance, your role, accelerate that progress to make it even more successful?
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and congratulations on the 50th anniversary to the OPEC Fund and everyone who works here. A few points to make. Water and energy, I don't see them as two separate sectors. Yeah. As Anna had mentioned, everybody's thinking about growth and jobs, and you cannot think about moving forward unless you have the energy, the real energy for development. And also the water resources. A few facts about the region, and now I'm leading the Economic and Social Commission of West Asia, the ESCWA, UN ESCWA, and we have 66% of the water moving around before it reaches certain countries for consumption. So this means that integration and geography is really present, and it does sort of dictate facts. We are also connected by grids, which is another way to say that geography does integrate us. Nonetheless, in order to move forward, we all know that we need the mobilization and the financing for that. However, if we are fragmented in our planning, investments are going to be fragmented as well. So here comes, some of the urgent needs in the region. We have close to 25% unemployment. So again, the energy for the growth and jobs. We have 47 million who live without electricity. So here is the case for pushing forward in that case. We also have 129 million who do not have safe water. So all of these again show the urgency of the matter, but also the importance of working together. Cooperation is not given yet, and we need cooperation to be able to invest more, have governance more, and share more of all of these facts. At ESCWA, and this is again reflecting on what my dear friend and colleague Zena mentioned, the knowledge sharing is very important. In our case, we provide satellite imaging, which is a key input into some of the planning related to these projects. There's also some programs like Regend, which is providing solar for farmers and households in different areas, particularly in Jordan, Lebanon, and Tunisia. But then what is key for us is the coherence across sectors, institutions, and also borders. And this is something that we do in partnership, for instance, with the World Bank. We had the Mashriq Water Dialogues, which was extremely important. We had ministers of planning, finance from the region alongside those in Turkey and Iran, because once again, geography matters. The other is with the League of Arab States. We also have the Cairo Water Week, another convening with the Arab Fund. We have other important convenings with the other regional commission in Asia. ISCAP, we're working on sand and dust storms, because this is also affecting water and affecting the region in certain ways. So it goes without saying that partnerships are very important, but partnerships need analysis that can deliver nationally, taking into account the country ownership, having the partners who are agile to be able to move around and navigate so that we are, as we are answering the national needs, we are not forgetting the regional needs as well. Again, everybody is connected through energy, through water, through borders, and it's very important to be mindful of that.
Thank you very much. You mentioned the coherence, the integration between, you can't distinct that. It's also, you've spoken about regional integration and the different tools. I think that's very powerful, and it gives me the perfect link to my next question to you, Your Excellency Dollar, because I mean regional integration, a reintegration of a unified system, that's something what we have seen in Tajikistan. And for us, I think it would be really interesting to learn from you, and let's do it very briefly in a second round. What has been most difficult regarding the institutional partnerships of foundation and also the political foundation to work on that regional cooperation?
It will be hard to make the second response shorter than the first one. But now, I think it's not only reconnecting to the unified Central Asian grid, but what we have been also working again with the support of World Bank on a very important, and actually Islamic Development Bank is also a significant co-financer of this. There's CASA 1,000 projects where we initially 1,000, but now 1,300 megawatts of green energy will be exported from Tajikistan and Kyrgyz Republic into Afghanistan and Pakistan, and this project is going to be commissioned next year. So those two projects actually going to promote the regional integrations, and I think that will set up a very important platform for benefiting from this. So why it is important not only for Tajikistan, where the 98% of electricity we produce comes from the hydropower, but why it's important for the region. So if you look at the energy resources of Central Asia and South Asia, it is very much dominating by the traditional source of energy today. Most of the countries have been actively developing the new renewable energies such as solar and wind. And the best hybrid for it, whatever it is, the hydro is really something that not will compete with those sources, but in fact it will complement this one. So the challenges that why the challenges that we have in terms of the regional energy or power system market is a couple of things. I think, and there was a good reasons for that when it was most of it, and still now it's dominated by government to government. And I think we now have to shift to what our speakers have been referring to, how to bring more private sector financing into this one. And for this, first of all, we need to set up transparent, effective, win-to-win approach and rules. And here again, with the World Bank, we have been setting up the regional energy market for Central Asia, where we're going to planning to bring an independent market operator that can really boost the regional integrations. I think because it was very much government to government, product to product set up, what we have undermined the energy balance. And I think in order to bring the more private investment, and I agree with Mrs. Anaberta that we as a governments are quite ambitious in what we're going to do, but it can be only achieved if we will come up with private sector financing, and I think that's very fundamental. And I believe the energy balance is something that can really help us to secure more of such financing. And again, win approach, like there should be win-win. There should not be the losers. And I think there's a way to do that one, and development partner has a role there to facilitate that regional integration process and give the zone of comfort for each government, which is on the different level of the priorities and, let's say, progress stage. that can bring all the partners together. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that experience regarding the challenges, but also providing some solutions, I think, which is, I always believe, the most powerful thing, where the audience benefit most to really understand and learn from others, the peer learning, I think, and the international best practices. Your Excellency Zina, I think that's something we can learn as well from Jordan, because Jordan has been a strong advocate of regional cooperation for a very long time. And could you give us maybe one key example, one key takeaway, what progress you have made regarding cross-border collaboration? Where's the untapped potential? If you would or could send one message to people here about this cross-collaboration, what would that be regarding the untapped potential? Or two messages.
Let me just shed the light that the energy was also a challenge in Jordan, that we have worked really hard to turn that into an opportunity. We worked with different partners, including the OPEC fund, to transform this basically challenge into opportunity as part of our energy transition journey. Definitely strong advocate for regional cooperation. I think we were well positioned in the energy sector to continue to pursue that based on the existing infrastructure that we've invested in over the past years and the potential energy resources that we can offer, not only as Jordan, but the regional can offer and benefit from that. At these challenging times, I think more and more regional cooperation becomes a necessity, as it can create multiple wins. Enhanced connectivity for us is becoming more and more essential for energy security, economic resilience across the region and beyond. We've developed the most extensive electricity interconnection networks in the MENA region and actively pursuing to become a regional hub and a platform when it comes to electricity exports, clean energy exchange, hydrogen value chains, and high-value industrial development. We're interconnected with Egypt. And there are plans to expand this capacity, also creating a corridor linking North Africa to the Levant. The Jordan-Iraq interconnection project is underway. We're almost done at our side in Jordan. We continue to supply Palestine with electricity, and we're developing high voltage interconnectivity. Infrastructure with Syria and Lebanon is ready at our side. I know that the World Bank is supporting Syria also to connect with Jordan. But with we have ongoing studies also to assess options for supporting and increasing the capacity of the interconnection and facilitating the reactivation of this regional corridor from Jordan through Syria to Lebanon. The planned 400 kilovolt Jordan-Saudi interconnection is also underway. This could also establish a link between the GCC and the Levant, and could become a cornerstone for future integrated Arab electricity market. This is on the electricity side. On the gas side, the Arab gas pipeline also connects from Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. I think this is also a very important story. It's getting revived. It has helped also Syria get access to Qatari gas via Jordan. We're finalizing the establishment of a regasification unit at the port of Aqaba. And we have some promising gas supplies on the eastern side of Jordan, which we will tender also a gas pipeline that will connect to this Arab gas pipeline. An untapped potential is what we can do beyond the region. I think, and there has been extensive talk, I'm not the expert here, but I know from my colleague, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources, the connectivity with Europe. It's not only, especially when it comes to the Middle East, I think North Africa has key projects and done some great strides on that dimension. But for us, I think this is probably an untapped potential, connecting the region, the Middle East, when it comes to Europe. And I think we're very well positioned, not only as Jordan, but also as a region, to do this interconnectivity in the near future. We've established some discussions a few years ago to become part of this Euro-Asia interconnection that also the plans to connect Europe with our side of the region. I think there's a huge untapped potential there that could create multiple wins, not only for our region, but also beyond the region.
Covering the untapped potential, Your Excellency Rania, I saw you listening carefully to your colleagues, the ministers. You bring yourself many years of experience as a minister, with direct involvement in very ambitious Nexus programs. Can I ask you, what does your experience of translating frameworks into concrete investments tell you what the Commission, the Economic and Social Commission, needs to do differently to support member states?
Well, thank you so much. And maybe a reflection on what Minister Zeina mentioned. The connectivity is a regional story. And when we talk about regional blocks coming back, when the multilateral systems are a little bit, rethinking or resetting, the region we sit in has so much that is going on, and so much which reflects policy, which reflects investment opportunities, and also reflects collaboration. And I think these are stories that need to be told. We have the different funds, including OPEC fund. It's not just about the financing. It's about changing lives, changing landscapes, modernizing economies, diversification. So our narrative is a very robust narrative. And it's a narrative which is creating opportunities for the youth, because these are where the jobs are. So I think this is something that we need to keep on emphasizing and repeating. Another word which is very close to my heart are platforms. And I think Anna, in her opening, she mentioned platforms in terms of how you mobilize different partners around national goals. This is something, in the case of Egypt, we did the Nexus of Water, Food and Energy, the NWAFI program, where there's, you coordinate across government, so it's not a project base, it's programmatic, and you also coordinate across different development partners. EBRD is a key partner with us on energy. OPEC, as you can see in the video that was shown, is a partner to the private sector, and the idea is not for the government to get more loans, but it's really to mobilize the private sector to actually move in and push forward. So where does the Commission stand in all of this? I think we have a role to play in helping countries with their enabling environment through technical assistance, through partnering with other bilaterals or multilateral institutions. We also do a lot on evidence and analysis. And again, to be able to push forward for financiers, they want analysis, they want evidence to give a credible story. And then finally, we have a very important convening role where ministers come. Minister Zeina is key in that. With other ministers from the region, we convene, we put an agenda, and we are able to push forward. To sum up, for any of this to work, three things are extremely important: the commitment to reform, the commitment to push forward on growth and jobs. The second is clarity with respect to the projects we want to do or the objectives that we want to achieve. And then finally, the credibility. And I think the more we disseminate the stories of connectivity, the stories of integration, the stories, and these are not just stories as rhetoric, but actual implemented regional connectivity that is taking place, we will be able to move forward and actually mobilize more in a time where each and every cent, not dollar, makes a difference, but also it makes a difference because more will have electricity, more will have water, and it will be a conducive environment for the private sector to come in to create the jobs.
Thank you. Commitment, clarity, and connectivity. Credibility, that's easy to remember, I thought. Credibility, easy to remember. You also mentioned the programs over projects, which I think is powerful and leads me to my final question and the final intervention. Shaima, to you, you launched a very important program, the V20 Compact, basically, the Vulnerable 20. These countries face energy, water nexus in a most accurate way. I mean, climate shocks, fiscal constraints, etc. Can I ask you, what does development finance get right or get wrong when it tries to serve these V20 countries?
Thank you. So I have three thoughts on this. The first is what we get right. What MDBs, development finance institutions, get right is that they design, or that we design, good programs to achieve impact on the ground. I think this we've gotten right. The second is the work in progress. Work in progress is that we've recently, as we've heard from the Vice President of Botswana, the new leadership of the MDBs has been listening more to the countries. We've been putting the countries in the driver's seat. There's been more ownership to co-create or co-design solutions that fits the needs of these very vulnerable countries and middle-income economies also, development at large. But what I think we've really not done right, and we've heard in the morning from Prime Minister Mottley, is that we were not able to change the weave of the financial architecture system. We've heard from the head of state, the president of Sao Tome, that the financial architecture, the system, has not been conceived for the small players. It's been conceived for the large players. And us as MDBs, we need to leverage our balance sheets in a better way in order for us to serve these countries. How do we do that? This is exactly what we're trying to do in the V20 Compact. We're not the biggest brains in the room. We are just a convener, right? So we believe at the heart and soul of this institution is the power of partnership. So we're building on the knowledge coming from all our development partners. And from the needs of these V20 countries, which today Mrs. Mottley announced that there are 78, to put together a framework that actually delivers a 40-year maturity loan for a 40-year energy or water asset. Because the reality is there are competing priorities in these countries. Food, energy supply, healthcare always come first. But as they wait for that tanker bringing their oil, for them, an energy crisis is a water crisis. It's an existentialist crisis. And therefore, we have to support them, deliver on this integrated approach so that they have energy, they have access to water, and we can also allow that to happen in a way that where maturity of the asset is equivalent to the maturity of the loan. That's our role, and I think that's where 50 years ahead we hope to achieve.
Thank you for that very, very powerful message, Shaima, and thank you to all the panelists, Your Excellency Sina Tukan, His Excellency Darul Juma, Your Excellency Rania Al-Mushad, and Shaima for a wonderful discussion, very inspiring. Thank you for listening to us and being part of the session. Round of applause for our panelists, please. And it's the time now for the closing session at the main stage. Thank you very much and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you. Please stay for a group picture.